2021. Yeah, it's the same message. That's what's so beautiful about it. Yeah. It doesn't bend or doesn't morph into something that fits around us, but it just stands alone, empty as ever, and then we fit ourselves around it, so to speak. Yeah. And when we fit ourselves around it, the emphasis on ourselves gets lessened and the it gets more dominant. Yeah. And then we get all the wishes that we were hoping for as a self through the relief from the self. Yeah. And there's no self, it's just an activity. So there's a relief from the activity of selfing and our role in it. The selfing is mechanical. It'll keep going on. It will definitely lose momentum and there'll be a lot larger gaps in it. But basically, it's a mechanical reaction of the mental state to consciousness, yeah, or a contact or an igniting of awareness. It shows up in time and claims it, and it claims it to imply that there's a noun, and then the whole narrative of the rest of your life is based on you as a noun, yeah. And then we fight all the confusion and the frustration and the dumbfoundedness that brings about. Yet it has a perfect mechanism because the fault either lies on others or on ourselves, but we never look at the system itself. And when we do look at the system, is as the system. So it's blind to a lot of its little pernicious, stubborn activities. So there is a solution, as we say in recovery. And the solution is us. Just like the seeming problem is based on us, the solution is based on us. So the non-duality, just like 10 years ago, is a negation of an activity, not just the interpretation of activities, but an activity of the subject-object, the dualism that we live as, yeah? So Ramana talks about it in a way, Ramana Maharshi, of like the policeman and the thief. So the thief is sort of the objectified sense of self, and the policeman is the subjectified sense of self. So basically, again, it's a dualistic format, and the message of non-duality negating the reality of that. That's all. Yeah. And as Ramana Maharshi also said, the greatest mystery, with the underlying premise being ourselves reality, the greatest mystery is reality appearing as ourselves wanting to attain reality. Yeah. So that's why things aren't working out, because you're on the wrong track, so to speak. Yeah. So if you keep trying to lengthen the engine life of the train, if you keep on refurnishing the cars, if you clean it, if you go from coal to electric, you're still on the same tracks. You're going to go where it's going to go. It doesn't matter how much you clean the train up. The tracks are going to define where it's headed. And this track of a very, very, it almost seems innocuous understanding that just basically its effects geometrically progress to the point where, as many people are running into today, this place looks completely ass backwards, really. It's sort of like the horse is way, way behind the cart. And it's like the old comic book from DC with Superman, Bizarro World, where everything was the opposite of this place. Well, most people's heads are living there. Yeah. They're trying to get out of what they're not in, and they're trying to get into what they're not out of. I mean, you can't be more misdirected than that. So as a fundamental theme of most movements are trying to get into something that we might not be out of. I mean, that we might not be, getting out of what we think we're in and getting into what we think we're not out, we think we're out of. That fundamental theme has tons of particulars that most people only see as individual little expressions of some mysterious phenomena, but basically there's a pattern there. You can recognize it. Sort of like you see the forest from the trees. So the trees are all these individual moments and of experiences, but the pattern is revealed in that. And then you see that, like in most cases, people are trying to get out of self, which a self that they're not in, and they're trying to get into, let's say, awareness, which they can't be out of. Yeah, so it's a crazy thing, and it's gone so insane that they have, and I'm not taking away any value that people gather out of it, but it really seems crazy that Big M mind would practice mindfulness. I mean, I would think it's its nature to be mindful, because all there is Big M mind. I mean, are we judging what's mindful of mindfulness or what? I don't know. It seems like we're we're trying to do a division in something that has no division. So I feel like we're all awake, and here in this little activity called dreaming, we can seem to be awake to that fact, or we can seem to be asleep to that fact. In other words, it can appear to us that we're awake, or it can appear to us that we're not awake, but it doesn't change the fact of awakeness. Yeah, and that's the great message of non-duality. That's why I feel sooner or later, the appropriate response to hearing the message is a disarming effect. Yeah. You just give up the ghost, basically. You just say, all right, I'm not going to ever get it. I can't experience it. I can't acquire it, which is a nice conversely, which is I can't lose it, which is awesome. Because obviously, if you feel like you've acquired or have achieved something, the opposite idea could be entertained, which I can lose something. That we're not talking about something that could be attained and lost. Yeah, we're talking about a context. So whatever content that you can achieve or attain and lose never leaves the context. Yeah, and the context is us. Or as Jesus say, we're in this world, or we're in this content, but we're not of this content. We're of the context. Yeah, so. Yeah, so at least, hopefully, instead of seeing a dynamic called the seeker and the sought, you'll see the seeker is the sought. Yeah, yeah. So you'll knock out the duality of it all, and you'll get over the fact. The seeker is the sought blows up a lot of story. It just does. I mean, the head can only get it together in time, so it gets caught with its pants down when it finally gets hit with the seeker is the sought. Wait a minute, I'm at the wrong meaning. I was thinking about hearing about the sought, so that would inspire me to seek more. Yes, I know, but that doesn't work, obviously, or you wouldn't be here. If the seeking is truly a movement towards the sought, most of us should have arrived by now. The only thing that happens is you get blamed. So you do. You didn't do enough. I know you didn't. You should have sat longer. You didn't sacrifice that last $5. Yeah, you didn't. You were greedy for that second piece of cheesecake. That puts you back at least 5 years of practice. Yeah. So the seeker is the sought. What are you going to do with that? You got to sit with it. Yeah. There's no juggling. The juggling stops. The seeker is the sought. So you love to juggle 4 things, but when there's one thing, you're not juggling it. It just sits there. The seeker is the sought. You are what you're looking for. What? Yeah. Yeah. What's looking Thank God he didn't say who's looking. What's looking is what you and I are looking for. He doesn't even say you and I. He says what's looking is what you are looking for. Yeah. So what's looking is the mental state takes what's looking and claims what's looking implies a you. Now that you is looking for, but what is that you? It's what's looking. So now you're using what's looking to look for what you're looking for, which is what's looking. What is that you? It's derived from the claiming of looking, and obviously there's a what part of the looking, which is, let's say, awareness. So there's a claiming of that awareness to imply it's you that's aware. And now you that's aware is using the awareness to seek for the awareness. That's the fundamental, that's the bump on the spiritual path, yeah, that hopefully you take as a stop sign. Instead of running over it and keep on keeping on, maybe it stops you and you look and see, why am I so hell-bent in looking for that which can't be found? Yeah, maybe it has a different agenda. Maybe the looking for it is the denying of it. Yeah, I would say that's how the mental state is in the act of denial of it, is by looking for it. Yeah. So that's why people, what scares people is the immediacy of the fact. They don't mind signing up for a 4-month course. The mental state loves to become shit and unbecome shit. It just has a stubbornness about what is really being. Yeah. I'm Paul. Yeah. It's not the I am, it's the I am Paul. And now the I am becomes an experience Paul wants. And just like we say, there's a great party, but when you get there, it sucks. You can't change that. As soon as you show up, it sucks. Yeah. But how are you going to get to the party unless you show up? That's right. You don't get to the party. You're already there. I had this big thing that happened with me once. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version of it. It's smaller. But I was in Australia, living over there, and it was like 2000, I think. 2000 something. And I picked up a woman. She was from France. I liked the accent. And she started telling me about this thing that was going to happen that week. It was going to be 8-day, sort of like not just a regular retreat like meditation. It was going to be like a therapeutic retreat, or it would induce a lot of cathartic shit, whatever. And I liked her, so I drove her to where she was staying, and she gave me a brochure. And that's where I saw the statement attributed to St. Francis, what's looking is what you're looking for, which sort of got my attention. So I called the people, and they said, oh yeah, there's, blah, 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 blah. It's called the Path of Love. And I said, all right, sure. I'll think about it. And I called this lady who I was trying to get a round the world ticket with, a travel agent. And this is a small town, and she had done this thing, the Path of Love. It was run by these Rajneesh people, Osho people. Yeah, they had actually infiltrated another group called the Miracle of Love, got the whole way they presented it, and then turned it into the Path of Love. And so it was Osho people. And so I thought, man, life's speaking to me. The travel agent told me not to. You can do both. You can go to this retreat and you'll go on the round the world trip. So I said, all right. So I signed up. I didn't know anybody there. They were all Rajneesh people. I didn't know anyone there. Went in there, and then there was a process that they would put all these mattresses on a floor, and they'd have all these people sitting around the circumference, just holding a space, not saying anything. they turn on music and they would induce like a cathartic event. Everyone was howling or crying or something like that. Yeah. So this one time, it just triggered this huge thing. And I kept saying, I can never get back. I can never get back. And I was bemoaning the fact that I have split from the Godhead or whatever, the whole story of eternal separation. So I'm really laughing and crying, and they all come over to me, and it was like winning a spiritual decathlon. I was the winner of the whole thing. I can never get back, and I'm crying and wailing. And then a few months later, after introduced to non-duality, I saw it in a completely different light. The reason why I can never get back is I never left. My whole bemoaning was because I believed I left something I never left. Yeah. And a lot of people who believe the same thing thought that was great. But I realized a couple months later, the reason why I could never get back because I never went anywhere. Now, the idea of trying to get back to where you can never get back to seems romantic, seems like, heroic, Homerish, Herculean, but getting the realization I never left, it was like, what? You can't even write a blog about that. You can't. I mean, how many people are going to follow you if you're not returning from where you never left? If you keep saying, well, I never left, fucking no one's going to follow you. Obviously. How are you going to follow someone who never left, who's basically saying you never left? There's no following involved. Yeah, there's no getting on the course and a path. There's just a recognition of, hey, yeah. And if you stop giving the balls to the juggler, and then you see it with the movement without any topic, you'll realize it's not you. Yeah. If you're left with your own devices, they're not your devices. Yeah. You're not of a thing. You're not. You may seemingly be in a thing, but you're not of a thing. You do not arrive at being what you are by doing having. You are already being what you are. Yeah. The doing and having is another thing. It has value or it doesn't based on something before it, really. So this whole idea of non-duality didn't put an end to thing. It just didn't allow anything to start. Yeah, that's really cool. It wasn't like putting an end to shit. It was like nothing started anymore. It was sort of like, well, I got to, sell these robes on eBay or something. My loving gaze, I'll try to pass on to somebody else. And I got to find some hobbies. I'm going to have a lot of time on my hands. So, but the beautiful thing happened because I never thought it would entail a huge loss of interest. I thought there would be an interest in losing interest in desires and material shit and this and that. But there was a loss of interest in the one. Yeah. There was a loss of interest in self, this long-lasting, independent, separate thing. And I found that triggered a whole lot of incredible effects. And therefore, when those effects started to express through this experience, I realized the cause of that was a loss of interest, which basically gave me the right diagnosis. There's just an excessive interest in what we're not. I'm not saying you're interested in what you're not. It's not true. The interest has been put into what you're not. Yeah. Or let's say been directed into what you're not to such an excessive point, because for something to seem to be so that's not so, it has to constantly seem to be so. Yeah. One breath without remembering it, it will be completely forgotten as if it never existed. So when you do something you love, like surfing or something like that, maybe sex with a loving partner or whatever, there's an absence of that interest in self. Yeah, you're engaged in that moment to a point where there's all that attention and interest is enjoying the moment. It's not going to the slavery post to constantly remember Paul, Paul, Paul. Yes? And so you have so many free samples of the actual absence of Paul. Not that Paul was there and left, but there was never been a presence of Paul. It's all like smoke and mirrors. It's all like, blowing your breath on a glass in the winter. Yeah, and then it mists up and you can see something. Yeah, but there's nothing there. So, and I'll tell you, for me, spiritual seeking was another way of not smelling the roses, really. Yeah, not smelling the coffee, not enjoying what was happening, because I thought every moment was building up to a bigger and better moment. Yes? There was no acceptance of how things were. There was using whatever was to go somewhere better and bigger. Yes? I thought in hindsight, I just felt I missed the whole point. Yeah. Thank God, really. So, and the best way you can present it, you can't describe it, but you can present it through non-duality. It's a beautiful non-duality in this experience. I feel I've only run into really two solutions this life. One of them was I was struck sober. Basically, no human power brought that about. Something just put an end to the shenanigans, and I got struck sober. And that's been an active solution for 33 years now, which is pretty damn awesome. And then the second solution, which is actually before all other solutions, is non-duality. Yeah, it explains everything, really. Seriously. And those are the only two I've met here. And the funny thing is, in time, I seem to meet non-duality later, but non-duality is always before everything. Yeah, which is cool. So that's why we share, I guess, because we say in recovery there is a solution. Well, there is a solution. Hallelujah. Yeah, and this solution, you know how somebody is a fighter or something, they get nicknames. Well, if you gave a nickname to non-duality, it would be the last answer, yeah, or something like that, because basically it takes any or all needs for any other answer away. It just removes it, yeah, and you're open, and you're even open to a new answer, but no other answer comes. It's just done. You've read to the last page, and the book's closed, and now fucking get on with whatever's going on. Yeah, there's no second edition coming. It's not. It's not like Die Hard 8. It's just there you go, and then so what happens is stuff was revealed. Nothing really about what I am, but about what I'm not really, and I could see because. The flavor of timelessness was injected into the interpretation of time, yeah? So I started seeing a lot more than when I'm looking at it through time. I saw what's produced in time sort of in a blind way. When I saw it out of, let's say, timelessness, I could see it, yeah? I could see that it comes after whatever I am. And I could see that it's a lot of huffing and puffing, but there's nothing there. Its point is, it implies there's something already there. So you never are becoming self, you already are one. It always assumes you've been one for 60 years, so try to get out of that motherfucker. You know what I mean? It just gives you a lot of history and a lot of weight and tons of pictures in your photo gallery. So because if there was really an option, and many of us, okay, do you want to keep becoming self? Most of us would say, no, is there any other option, any other solutions available? I'd like to, opt out of this one. But there's no becoming self, it says you already are one. Yeah, which is amazing because you already start like at a -5. You're lucky you just basically get to the start of the game. So I saw that it's almost as if what we are is obviously unformed and unlocated, and then there's some chum thrown in the dreaming, sort of like fish, and then suddenly we move, something moves us to that hook, and we bite the hook, and as we bite the hook, we feel like a fish, and not only that, we feel like a historical fish. Yeah? And then life begins there, basically. We missed the whole creation aspect of it. And then we went into a making of it. And then we start as the product. See, I went into heavy addiction with cocaine, but I swear to God, even after 10 days on it, I never thought I was cocaine. I never crossed that line. It was a drug that I was obsessed with, or the effects, but I never thought I was the drug. We're thinking we're the drug right now. The mental addiction is so far past an addiction to coke or heroin and shit. So far past it. The mental state is addicted to this idea of being self. It is. It just eats it up. And as we say in recovery, self can't get out of self. What are you going to do? It becomes so unbearable. A lot of people, end up taking their own lives because they can't see that what's driving them crazy is something foreign to them. They see it, they're identified as it, and when it gets to a certain point that the whole ship has to go just to get disembarked that one passenger, the whole ship has to sink. And I feel for it. I mean, my family, we've had 2 suicides, and I watched a lot of people in 33 years in recovery get overwhelmed by the interpretation of life that was being fed them, yes? It's not a laughing matter in a way, but the first recognition that I had that was very, very profound was triggered by a sentence in the Big Book, which is being convinced self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. And I had heard that hundreds of times, probably thousands of times. But this one time I read it, it triggered a feeling that self was foreign. Yeah? It wasn't, it didn't stop to describe me as something, it just described self as foreign. As soon as I saw self as foreign, a possibility that heretofore was not available was immediately available. I can be free from it. That was all that was needed. Yeah? Because the root of this delusionary act is the act of being identified as something that we're not. Yeah? That's the greatest mystery. Being ourselves reality, wanting to attain reality. We would have to be taking ourselves to be something other than reality to want to attain reality. Yes, obviously. Very simple diagnosis. If reality was wanted to attain reality, it would have to hold that wanting as something else than reality. Yeah. So as the Course in Miracles says, hey, firm in faith in this something else we've made to be ourselves, we're in the active denial of what we are. That's the case. That's a duality right there. Yeah? We're taking ourselves to be something that we're not, and that just doesn't stay independent and separate. It has another side of the coin, which is that is the active denial of what we are. Yeah? So maybe it doesn't seem like a big cost. So what? I'm identified as a character. Shit. Yeah, I'm having fun, whatever. Yeah. But on the other side of that coin, and you can't separate those two sides, they're of the coin. On the other side of it is an active denial of what you are. Now, maybe people don't see a cost in there, but I feel some people do. Yeah. And it's gone far enough, really. So the root awakening is that the system has failed. Yeah. Why would you want to spend a lot of money buying air conditioning to a house of cards? It's like ridiculous. Yeah. It's sort of like the old story with the incredible high definition camera and the little cardboard brownie camera. And the large camera looks through the small camera just to see how it is. And while it through the looking, it forgets that it's the large camera. And it starts living as if it's the small camera. And the small camera has a plastic lens that takes shitty pictures. Yeah? Doesn't see much. You just point and hope, really. You can't even see what you're targeting as a picture. And something feels very uncomfortable for the big camera, but the only way it confronts that feeling is as the small camera. Yeah, it's identified as the small camera. So the best it can come up with is, I'm going to save my money and buy a $5,000 Nikon lens, and I'm going to put that lens over this little lens in this little cardboard camera with the hopes that I'm going to see better. But the dominant thing isn't the $5,000 lens, it's the plastic lens. So you're going to still see through the plastic lens and then through the $5,000 lens. It's not replacing the plastic lens. It's actually going to reinforce it. What happens? Finally, some other camera comes by and goes, hey, bro, you've been looking through that camera for a long time, and then the big camera gets whacked. What? You mean I'm not this little camera? Yeah, you're not. What happens? Does he have to go through a massive operation to be unattached to the little camera? No. He hasn't lost any sense of its own large camera. It just lost, it took on the qualities of the cardboard camera. The other qualities haven't been extinguished. They're just not been, they're unsuspected, as we say in AA, unsuspected inner resources. So it's unsuspected by this addiction to being the cardboard camera. Yeah, now the message has got through. Yeah, how long does it take for the big camera to be the big camera? No, it's never not been the big camera. It was just looking through the small camera. It wasn't the small camera looking. It was the big camera looking through the small camera. But the story was, it's the small camera looking. Yes? And most of us are on that second side when we're yapping all day. We're on the side of the small camera bitching about what it's looking at. Yes? Instead of seeing where the large camera looking at the small camera saying that fucking shit. Yeah, so yeah, there you go. I hope it makes no sense to you. Yeah. Come back in 10 years. Yeah. It should clear up by then. Yeah. All right, anyone, Mike, any questions?
Oops, I've been unmuted all this time, sorry. Anybody want to raise their hand? I was thinking it could be, in a way, oops, somebody raise their hand. I was just going to say, it could be funny to like have what's looking, the space, blaming the aperture, the lens, you know, for being for for narrowing things down. I don't know, something like that. Skylar raised her hand. Go ahead, Skylar.
What's a narrow lens going to do but show you a narrow picture? It's not the narrow lens's fault.
Skylar,
Hi, Paul. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Well, referring to when you said that you ended up realizing that you were never separate from the Godhead. I really needed to hear
No,
that.
no, I didn't say that. I realized I had never left. I don't know what it
Yeah, had
is.
never left.
I won't describe it as Godhead or anything. No.
No, like I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Like there's nothing to be done really. Like no like really hardcore spiritual seeking. Like I don't know. I've been on this like track where I've like all of a sudden just gone really far left Christian and like super Jesus, like ham. And like, I don't know, like I was like kind of like maybe not gonna come to your meetings because I'm like, oh, he's a false prophet. You know, like I'm just being honest with you. And then like I came back and was drawn to come back because I trust you. And that's something that like can't really be like shaken, you know? So that's why I came back tonight. And to hear you say that, like, you can never really be separate, like, reminds me of when you were saying that you kind of live the prayer. Like, instead of going ham, like, okay, I'm going to pray for like 50 minutes to the Lord, like I've been doing, like, I was already like in a space of connection and like never separate from already before. And that trust is like more spiritual. That's more knowing than like having some like blind faith because I'm listening to other people tell me how it is. Like, I don't know, I just feel like a little more connected to like who Sky is, not like all the like Christian brands that I've been like getting exposed to. And like, I don't know, like I want to be like the most pure and like the most aware and like the most connected to God. And I thought that would give it to me. But I ended up becoming super judgmental and cutting people out of my life, like including you. So it makes me realize like, okay, what's going on? I feel more separate and isolated than ever. You know, I'm in
Yeah,
some golden chair on the throne, you know,
isn't
with
that
God.
funny?
And
Isn't that funny? Because
it is
that
funny.
same dynamic will repeat and repeat and repeat. Yes,
Yeah,
because you want it
it
one way,
has.
you get it the other way. Yeah.
Exactly. My pattern is that I've been flip-flopping religions, you know, like a week or and people in my life have brought it to my attention. Oh, you're Christian again. Oh, no, you're just spiritual. And it's like, do. And I'm like, I'm just seeking. And then I'm like, hearing you, like, I just want to like stay Sky, you know, that just like is never separate from and just trust that and not feel like I always have to like go do, you know. That's really
Yeah.
all.
That's
Yeah.
that's great. It's gonna end sooner or later anyway. Yeah. You know,
hmm
it's gonna, yeah. I mean, yeah, but great, honey.
hmm
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy happy you trust this space and just yeah. Yeah.
One more thing, it's like it's like me playing God saying like, oh, I know that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Like, trust me. I know, you know, because it's like I don't know. I
Yes.
don't know. But what I know is that I automatically got swooped into being sober, just like you said. This is day 32, and I didn't do anything but ride my bike. And it's just automatic. And like the two solutions were like so on point. So, like, I'm going to go with your two solutions. So, thank you. That's all.
All right. Thank you, Skylar. Yes.
Thanks, Skylar. That reminds me of, what's her name? I can't remember the one who is a psychologist that does studies that um, illustrate spiritual principles. So this was about like taken the phrase, do you or do you not believe people are doing the best they can, in this exact moment? And they were surprised to find out, for instance, supposed diehard Christians had a harder time when then those like simple people that they described as having clear boundaries, which seemed kind of opposite, that you would, have, you would ever think that, no, I don't want you around me if you're doing this or that. But that actually enabled them to, if they're doing that, if they're free with themselves to do that, then they could believe somebody else, that basic idea that everybody is doing the best they can at this exact moment. But yeah, the religions didn't necessarily help people with that.
Yeah. I always loved this one lady got in touch with me, she says, I know I'm not the ego, but everyone else's ego is bothering me. Yeah.
Exactly. That's,
Yeah.
yeah, trippy. Michael
Hey.
had his hand up. And
Yeah, hey, Paul. I think
Oh, there it goes.
yeah, absolutely. Same messages. I think it might have actually been 15 years ago. In any case, you gave me some talks on CD. That's how old it is. Any case, what I heard tonight was that the interest is drawn to the what's not true, what's not is, and that the driving force of that is from the interest side. It made me react to it in a way, the same way that when I heard that actually because a pile of air flows down to where there's less air, that when we talk about wind, the wind is not blowing, it's being sucked. It's being sucked to the area of low pressure from the high pressure. I was wondering if you could talk more about how the interest is drawn to the thing that's not what is.
Yes, yes. Well, I think it's more in this case, I lost the last beat that you said, Michael. But in this case, it's my feeling is that the mental ideation of this idea, yeah, put into a certain mental object and then pictured as a physical object is sort of the target which it directs attention and interest to. With the assumption, it's almost as if it switched a piece of fabric with a different scent to the bloodhounds, yeah? So now the bloodhounds think they're going to what's about you, but this you is sort of manufactured, yes? So, but the bloodhounds had the smell, they believe they've had a smell, there's been a switcheroo, and now the attention interest keeps going to this act of ideation going on in the head, yes? Now, to me, when you recognize that which is the object of that sucking in isn't you, it changes the current, yes? So then the wind gets the other way, yes. Yeah, and so it's a loss of interest in self, like they say in the big book, as they were sort of like putting dance steps to a mind entertaining a solution, and one of it was you're going to lose interest in self and then gain interest in life and others and see what you can contribute instead of take away. So it's a real opposite move, yes? So, but the whole engagement starts with a loss of interest in self. Now, it doesn't say you set out and you lost the interest in self. It says a loss of interest in self. Yeah, you trying to lose interest in self is more interest in self. Yes, obviously. So it's a loss of interest. So in other words, you entertain these ideas, and that something happens like a thief in the night. Yeah. While you weren't looking, you realize, hey, I'm traveling lighter. You know what I mean? I don't know how I pulled this off, and it's actually very clear you didn't pull it off. Yeah, I mean, it's very clear. There are there's distances into emptiness that the mental state cannot claim. It realizes, just like getting struck sober, it's never had a feeling like it did it, you know? It's never presented a story, well, you got sober, Paul. No, It's fucking just, it's mute on that point. It doesn't say fucking squat because it just doesn't even believe it could get away with it. So there are stretches of the truth, so to speak, that it can't get around and claim. Yeah. And I feel like the message of non-duality is like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I love the idea of the stopping juggling, the end of all questions. That's been a little bit of my experience, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Because see, with the juggling, it's the activity. Yeah. So the topics aren't really meant to be solved. They're meant to be engaged with to keep that agitation going. Yes. When you pull it out and you're left with one ball, yeah, then the whole thing stops. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I feel the message is more disarming than a call to arms. Yeah. It's a very disarming message because basically it says what really all the relevance from what we're not is based on that it can do shit, it can go somewhere, and when there's nowhere to go and nothing to do, you've just sort of took the rug out of its relevance. Yeah, you see the emperor with no clothes. Truly, yeah. It's hard to see the emperor with no clothes while it's dancing around. But when you pull out all of its prime importance, which is, I'm going to get somewhere that we're not, and I'm going to do something that needs to be done, and you realize this has nothing to do with doing and nothing with arriving, it's pretty much irrelevant. Hallelujah. Yeah. 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 Thanks, Mike. It's nice to see you. Yeah, come back in 15 years now. I'm going to give everyone on the squares. All right. Let's see. Mike Z's got to come back tomorrow. Others. Mary, you got 6 months at least now. So you go. Anu, I don't know. I think I got to keep you around for my own selfish interests. So you just keep showing up. Wasn't didn't Nisargadatta get pissed off with people staying too long? At his talk. He'd say, get the hell out of here.
Yes, he did.
You got the message. Get out. Go ahead.
Yeah, he gave them 8 days.
We got 24-hour parking. Yeah. You can even sleep here. You know what they did? Remember when you were young, you could drive around and maybe if you had a van and you weren't a serial killer, you could park on a street and maybe take a snooze. Now they have so many signs. No parking, no camping, no parking between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. I mean, they just keep working it on and on and on and on and on. Yeah. Now people, you can't sit down. So to be homeless, you got to be constantly moving. It's fucking incredible. It's like the head, really. I'll show them. Yeah. I got to go to work every day. I'm not going to let them sit down. I'm signing that petition. No sitting down. Yeah. Do you ever hear the story Jesus supposedly said? I think it's in the New Gospel. I hope I haven't made anything up. But I always loved this one. I like the prodigal son, but I'm going to give you the other one where the guy has a farm and he needs some laborers. So he goes to the union hall and he's looking around. It's like 9 a.m. and he hires a guy. He thinks he's going to be able to do the job with one guy helping. He says, I'll give you $50. And the guy's really happy. And he goes to the field. Now the guy who's running it realizes he needs another guy. So he goes back. It's now like 12 and he hires a guy for the rest of the day and he pays him $50. Yeah. And then he goes back and now the guy that's been there since 9 is a little resentful. Hey, I'm getting paid the same money you're getting paid. Then the farmer realizes he needs another helper around 4:30. They're going to end work at like 6. He goes back and hires another guy and gives him $50. Now the other 2 guys are resentful of hell. Why is this guy getting $50? He got here at 4:30. Yeah. Why is that? Yes. Because the solution has nothing to do with time. Yes? Nothing to do with time. The person got 50 at 4:30, 50 at 9, 50 at 12. It didn't matter. Yeah? Once you left that confine of the idea of time, there's none of those rules and regulations apply. Yeah? When this thing hits you, it will tell you it's always been this way. Yeah? You didn't miss anything. I should have gotten it earlier. There was no earlier. Yeah? There wasn't. It's now. Yeah? The main description is here and now. Whenever that here and now overrides the there and then sufficiently to replace the there and then as the here and now never was replaced. It just seemed that way. The here and now has always been this way. So nothing ever really happened. Nothing. I never left. Yes. I never separated. I never did any of that shit. It was in a dreaming. Yeah. Now the dreaming has some awakeness as the basis of it. Yeah. So now the dreaming continues, but its effects aren't the same. Yeah. Yeah. So now you're awake to being awake instead of seemingly asleep to being awake. Yeah. They don't throw a parade for you. It's sort of like the person at a 7-Eleven maybe once may recognize, hey, this guy seems nice, but probably never. You're not going to be recognized in your own village, so to speak. Yeah. But hey, there's a huge difference as an experience to travel lighter through whatever is going to happen, because shit's going to happen, good and bad, whatever, however you want to call it, contracting, expansive. To me, what would be super valuable would be a way of traveling lighter through whatever is in store for me, not magically thinking it's always going to be great, but just whatever shows up. Yeah. Do I have the ability to travel lighter through it? It's not one that I cultivated. It's one that was given. An unsuspected inner resource has become completely suspected. Yeah. And relied upon, actually. So, like, we used to joke about, before the talks when they were live, I'd have the get ready room and I'd sit in there for a half hour, and then I'd go to the get set room 5 minutes, and then, all right, we're on. No, we've never prepared for anything, obviously. Most people realize that by now. We've never prepared for anything. Yeah, that's the faith. I have faith in unpreparedness. I do. And it's been put to the test. I've walked into a lot of meetings, literally, not figuratively, literally the way I am right now, without having a pair of pants on. I did it literally thousands of times. Now I'm actually doing figuratively at the same time, which is pretty cool. So, all right, Mike. Anyone else there?
I don't see any other hands.
We don't see another hand. Well, then I'm going to say hello to some folks, eh? Hey, Kaiser, did you get the Sun Cafe?
I haven't. I gotta wait until Monday's work schedule. But Monday I'm gonna go and have one of those chocolate things. Yeah.
All right, good.
Coffee thing.
Yeah, the coffee shake
Thanks,
is on. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
No problem, bro. We got JP from Long Island City. Nice to see you, JP. Yes?
PK.
Oh, PK. Why am I calling you JP? Oh, because he's right there. I got Vietnam and Long Island City mixed up, which is not that hard to do, right? Yes, Ho Chi Minh City and Long Island City. There may be a lot of similarities.
Hey, thanks, man. You know what? There's only one of us, but I love the stories you speak. It's such great little examples that you give, and it just brings the absurdity to the forefront. Like you said, you have fun with it. Don't take it too serious. I like how you said it changes your life from CNN to Comedy Central.
Yeah.
I love it, man. You know what? Why not, man? When you can come here and you can have a laugh, I mean, we take life serious, sure, but we don't have to take ourselves so serious. So thank you for that, man.
Yes, please.
It's awesome, man.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Yep.
All right. We got, Johannes from Germany. Nice to see you, Johannes. We got Rick. Oh, Rick dropped in from Toronto. Nice to see you, Rick. Yeah. JP from Vietnam. I mixed you up with PK from Long Island City. Wow. There's Alex. There she is. The queen of the Hudson Valley. We got, who is this here? Oh, Miss Amelia. Yeah, she's been muted for the next few weeks at least. Yeah. We're not going to hear from her anymore. We got Thomas Turner or Tyner. I can't see we got Deborah. Let's see. We've got, Gary C.
Hey,
Kenneth. Hey, Gary, we'll be coming back up there sooner or later to Grass Valley, I think.
I'll come.
Yeah,
Cool.
they're planning it. Yes. We got Tommy in Ireland. We got Alan. Hey, Alan, thanks for the cash. Much appreciated. Yes. We got Sanda from the motherland. Yes. It's beautiful time over there, eh? Soon.
Yeah, but it is so much crackers. Tomorrow is Diwali. So this is just boom, boom, boom all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. All right. We got Jacob. Jacob from Seattle. Nice to see you, Jacob. We got Zlatko. Nice to see you. I've seen a lot of Zlatko today.
Right.
Yes. We got John W. There he is from Melbourne. We got Janine Freedom. Yes. We got, we went there already. Let's see who's the next one here. We've got Mike Z, aka Miss Amelia. Again, Kerry. Nice to see you, Kerry. You're at the non-duality. Yeah. We got Michael. Michael from the 10-year, he's in the 10-year plan. Mary, nice to see you, honey, always. Catherine, nice to see you there. We got my friend Rob from New Zealand, Robert French. He's not French, he's a Kiwi. We got Anu, as always. Cheryl, thank you for sitting through this whole saga. We are happy to meet you. And let's see, who else? That's it. Everyone else, thank you for this opportunity. And we'll be around tomorrow for the recovery meeting, 10:30 Pacific, Saturday, 1 o'clock Pacific. And then look up on the website. Soon we'll have posting. We'll be missing the 11th, November 11th recovery meeting because we're going to be traveling. And the 13th Saturday, we'll probably still have the Zoom. We'll be in Moab, Utah for a weekend. I think we're doing some stuff there.
Nothing.
Hello?
Yeah, sorry, nothing.
All right. All right.
Oh, Paul, is there an event on December 11th now?
What?
I got an email. Is there an event on December 11th now?
Well, December 11th, people are going to do a pilgrimage to Mecca, Novato, California, where I live.
So that
And
is
so
an
they're
event?
going to come, and I think you got to talk with Nina or Kurt or someone, or maybe you'll know. And yeah, we're going to have a gathering around my where I live on December 11th, and we'll have a couple of talks and do something for the whole weekend if enough people show up.
Okay, so that is.
And we'll have places they can, yeah, we'll know places to stay, and yeah, we'll be having it at the house.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, December 11th. All right. Thanks, everyone. See you.
Thanks. Good night.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks,
See
Mike.
you, everyone.